Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller. And y'all, it has been like 10 days since I've made a video. Today is Saturday and we're just getting home from our vacation. Had an amazing time, filled the truck to the brim, and then had some us time at an Airbnb. And now I'm ready and relaxed and roaring to go. So my priorities at this point now is, of course, I'm going to start processing more again, start listing more every day, but I also need to start cross-listing more. For those of you who are new to my channel, I just put all of my listings, all 11,000 some odd listings, over into List Perfectly, and now the process of getting everything cross-listed to as many platforms as I do currently, which is Poshmark, Mercari, and Etsy, where it's appropriate, putting stuff in there. And get ready for fourth quarter. Yep, because we wiped out the Mercari and Poshmark, so we're starting fresh. So I don't have any sales to share with you guys for this what sold video from those platforms. Thankfully, eBay still moving along for me. Some major spikes, I'll have a really, really good day and then really low day. I think this 4-day period that I'm about to share with you guys, 3 of the days were below what I consider normal for me, and then 1 day was very good, so it helped. But it's time to start ramping up, getting ready for fourth quarter. I'm always working towards that, but now, I've got all of the stuff still that we picked up at the St. Louis bins. Yeah, the last trip that we made to St. Louis. So I'm going to start pouring through those bags. But I think the stuff that I picked up on this trip, some of it's going to get bumped to the head of the line. I've talked about the Red, White, and Blue thrift store in Waterbury, Connecticut. Y'all, it did not let me down. It did not let me down. I've got so many of the like the mystery bags, but not really mystery because the bags are clear. I'm trying to think of the right word. I can't think of the word. But they just cram these bags that are like this big, $3.99. And the day that we got there, I probably picked up 2 dozen, if not more of them. So we're going to be going through those. I'll show you what caught my attention in the bag, and then I'll get to learn what was the other stuff that I couldn't quite make out. So it's going to be fun, but I'm ready to get back to work. It's nice to get away and take a break and do some sourcing. But it's always, now's the work time. You got to get it listed, because my mantra is you can't sell it if it's not listed. So right now, if you've got piles and piles of stuff, that's good, because, the summer's going to be done and then sourcing gets a little bit more difficult. But it's got to get listed. Got to. So set a schedule. That's what I do. I set a schedule. I get stuff processed. I get it listed. But right now, I'm also going to start chiseling out some time that's just going to be focusing on cross-listing, so I can get my other stores back up in numbers. This video is a what sold video for last week, Monday through Thursday, July 22nd through the 25th. And like I said, my sales were kind of a little bit down. But that's okay, because I had an amazing sale that I'm going to share with you guys. I had a comment in one of my previous videos, like, what is the dollar value of things that I wouldn't list? And y'all, not everything is a grand slam when you're sourcing. Sometimes I'm buying in bulk, sometimes I'm buying at the bins. But a lot of times, for the most part, if it's in good condition and I'm still going to make a profit on it, I've spent the money, I have the item. It doesn't take a whole lot of work to get it listed. Just go ahead and list it. I want to say possibly that this was from the High Bid estate sale because I bought a bunch of like advertising and just stuff, plush that went along with candies and restaurants and stuff like this. So this might have been from that. It is a Nanco Jelly Bean Kiwi Bear. Been listed forever and finally sold for $6.84. Mattel DC Superhero Girls. She was in a box of Barbies that at the beginning of the year I started really focusing in on my profit piles, all the stuff on the shelves back here that you can't see that had just been accumulating, and I was done. I was tired of it just sitting here, and I went through it, and now I'm so glad because I made tons of money on this stuff because it was sitting there not listed, and a lot of it was good stuff. But at the time that I purchased it, I tend to gravitate towards the plush, and I get a lot of that work done. And then the smalls, because they're small, they just kept getting put in totes and set aside and filled another tote and set it aside. So, probably I'm going to try not to do that again, but I still find myself, gravitating towards the larger stuff that take more space down here and letting the little stuff sit. And it's not good. But anyway, this Harley Quinn doll sold for $8.06.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Now, if you're new to my channel, I also do not do free shipping on any of my platforms. So when I say something sold for $8.06, they also paid additional for shipping. Big L Ranch, been listed since November. Hadn't had a whole lot of activity on it, so when I got a $25 offer, just accepted it. I'm of the mentality that if it's been listed a while and it's not sold, then, I need to take offers. Just take offers. Robert's rule, which he's trying to get me to understand, is if it's 70% of my price, it should be a no-brainer. Just sell it because it's definitely going to be at a profit. But sometimes I have a hard time with that, especially with some of my higher dollar stuff, and especially for stuff that I've just listed. So, do you have a cutoff where, if it's only been listed a month versus if it's been listed, a couple of years or, last year? Where's your cutoff? Because sometimes, the listed and forget it doesn't work anymore. And, also trying to wait for that top dollar, you're holding on to stuff that you could be getting sold at a profit. Take that money and get more stuff. If I didn't say this sold for $25. Lincoln Logs. A lot of times with Lincoln Logs, if I've got cowboys and horses and all of that type of stuff, sometimes I sell the figures separately. Obviously, I didn't have any of the cowboys and I ended up just leaving the horses, but those are the ones that sell the best for me is, the accessories, not so much the logs. Wizard of Oz. This was from my favorite little estate sale company. I bought a lot of Wizard of Oz. I'm down to just a few things left. But this was an ornament that I picked up that day, and it sold for $14.55. Worldwide Sportsman shirt. This was one of those things. It's been listed for a really long time. I'm trying to move away from shirts. We tend to do better and source more jeans, and that's where we've been focusing a lot of our attention. But I do try to, there are certain things I like picking up. The Hawaiian shirts, just because I like seeing them and having them. And then, some women's dresses and stuff like that. But Robert focuses on jeans for the most part, and we sourced a bunch at the bins. We went to, I think, at least 3 bins: Connecticut, Pittsburgh, and West Virginia. So we did a lot of sourcing on this trip. But this shirt sold for $10. I don't think I'm going to buy very many shirts in the future. They just take a really long time. Nike Youth Jacket. Again, another old listing. Glad to see it gone. $14. Barbie Skipper Babysitter's Nursery Set. I had a huge tote in January along with that Harley Quinn doll. It was just a ton. And I took the time, sorted through all of it. Google Lens was definitely my friend. It helped me sort out pieces that went to the sets. And, you know, it was fun, but it was a project, and I don't want too many projects in the future. So I'm paying better attention to when I'm at the bins, not to buy as much, just a ton of smalls. This set sold for $17.95. Douglas Husky Wolf Dog Plush. It had a wilderness scarf on it. Made it a little bit unique, and it sold for $23.35. IKEA Dragon Hand Puppet. Probably I'll continue to pick these up because they're so light. They're so easy to photograph, but they don't sell for a whole lot. But I just listed this in July, and it has already sold $7.15. I like picking up IKEA. Now, I like picking up vintage games. Robert picked up a bunch on this trip from a yard sale. All of it was $0.25 for these vintage games. This I think I remember picking up at the bins. It was actually in its original box. I've done very well with this. The box was in too much damage, so I just decided to go ahead and just list the vinyl mat that goes to this. And it sold in about 3 months, $24.26. I remember playing this game when we were growing up. You can use this mat to do Michigan Rummy, and it's by Kadako, something like that. But definitely keep your eyes out for these mats. Fisher-Price Loving Family. Again, I tend to pick up a lot of this type of stuff at the bins, and then I just make small lots. Just a couple of pieces, and they sold for $13.45. Picked this up at our friend Scott and Christina's estate sale. It was $1. It was a wall can opener by Swingaway. Sold very, very quickly. We paid $1, sold for $17.95. Build-A-Bear clothes. I picked up 2 totes of Build-A-Bear clothes at a recent yard sale. I paid $10 a tote. I picked up 2. There were tons of shoes, so what I decided to do was, an outfit and a shoe. An outfit and a shoe. I made tons. I want to say probably 30, if not more, lots of just an outfit and a pair of shoes. And they're selling. This one sold for $13.45. Terma Demonica doll. Don't know a whole lot about it. Definitely one to keep your eyes out for. From 2012. Listed it in June, and it sold on a best offer of $40. Levi's 512 men's shorts. Before this trip, we were really focusing on the clothes. It's been something that's been neglected, so Robert and I just started getting a whole lot of pictures done of the clothes, and I've been, this whole trip, that's mostly all I had to list was just all the clothes that we had already gotten ready. I've been using the Express Lister on List Perfectly to, help me form the titles and the descriptions for clothes. I'm still loving it. Loving it. It throws it into a draft for me. While we were at a hotel, I would just throw all of that on the Express Lister, save it as a draft, and then while we were driving, I would just start going ahead and filling in all of the rest of the details and get stuff listed. For some reason, I had really good internet while we drove. Not so much at the hotels. I'm not quite sure what was up with that. Maybe just the block buildings, something. I struggled to get internet. I never, ever, ever use Wi-Fi from any place we go. I always use my hotspot. But inside the hotels, it was not working well for me. So what I would do is, spend some time getting everything into List Perfectly, just the bare basics, let the pictures load and let it do the title and bullet points for me. And then while we drove, I would go ahead and finish them and get them listed. So it worked out really well, but I did mostly close the whole trip. These jeans sold for $17.71. This is IEW. It's one of the classes that kids at our homeschool co-op can take. This was from our shelf, and it sold for my full price, $14.95. Vintage doll. I'm thinking this was a Ben's pickup. Just a cute vintage made in Hong Kong doll, sold for $10.49. Aurora brown snake plush, 50 inches, sold for $13.45. Precious Moments. I didn't even put a space between Precious Moments and I Know. Just seeing that. Lots of comments though when I talked about selling in a previous video all of the Precious Moments that I have. Lots of people were telling me about, people are using these to repaint them into like goth figures and just all kinds of other types of statues. So, if I came across a bunch of these again at a yard sale for very cheap, I might just pick them up because I've done quite well with them. This one was a graduation figure in the box, and it sold for $26. Vineyard Vines men's pants sold for $18. Build-A-Bear Hello Kitty. We found this, I want to say at the bins. This was something Robert found. I was hoping it was going to be, bigger bucks, but no, especially not without the bow. I think it was typically $30 to $40 without the bow. If you can find them with the bow, of course, they do a little bit better, but I'm thrilled. It sold very, very quickly for an offer of $30. Dakin UNC Cheerleader Bear, been listed since the end of last year, sold for $15.26. Fisher Price Loving Family, again, just another lot. Look how cute that stuff is. The little fuzzy foam. I put in there that I didn't think the phone, the camera, or the flower were Fisher Price, but they just kind of went with the group, so I just left them with it. Could have been Barbie maybe, but it sold for $30.56. Airyvac coffee cup mug. I tend to buy a lot of advertising mugs for just either pharmaceutical or companies like this. It sold for $13.45. Play School Busy Puppy Dog Activity Plush sold for $19. Dakin Pillow Pets. This was from the private pick estate sale that we went to last summer. Bought tons and tons and tons of vintage plush. It had been listed since April of last year, so I went ahead and accepted a $10 offer for it. Make it gone. Coleco Cabbage Patch Kids blue plaid shirt. Vintage shirt. Probably this came from my friend's estate sale where I picked up a whole bunch of doll clothes, and this one shirt sold for $11.66. Echo women's brown strap sandals. Again, listed for a while. Be careful with Echo. I picked up, I want to say 3 or 4 pairs of them at one point and left them in the truck for a while, and then when I brought them out and we did the twist test, they all just disintegrated. They've just got those types of soles that cannot handle the heat. So just be careful, especially you pick them up at a yard sale and they've been sitting outside all day in the sun. Be careful with them. But they sold for $13. Star Wars Light Side Starter Deck. Probably a Ben's pickup. Sold for $22. I also had a comment. I guess, sometimes I forget that, somebody new might be checking in on my videos. And, they were like, I don't know where you're sourcing from. So just if you're new to my channel, we do a lot of sourcing in our area at estate sales and yard sales. Our thrift stores stink. They're awful, so we don't go very often. Every once in a while, I like to go to like the Habitat for Humanity in a town next to us. Our Goodwill, maybe once a month, but maybe not even that often. But we do sourcing trips where like this trip, we went to Connecticut, hit yard sales, hit the bins there. I met up with some friends, and then we hit the Pittsburgh Goodwill outlet, and then we hit, a Goodwill outlet in West Virginia. And we do a lot of that bulk buying so that when I do my haul videos down here, a lot of times it's that stuff. I'm pulling them out of the bags and sharing what I picked up with you. But we buy a lot. We buy a lot at one time. And that way, I don't ever have to be concerned that, I'm not going to have enough inventory to keep up the numbers that I like to have in my eBay store. So that's just how we get our stuff. If you're lucky enough to live near a Ben's, I'm jealous because it's an hour and a half to Asheville for us, and it's not a good Ben's. I've pretty much given up on it. So I like, going to the ones in St. Louis or going to the ones in Nashville. Loved Pittsburgh. Loved it. Actually, we did really well with the one in Connecticut, where the last time we went there, it was not very good. So that's just an explanation of how I have so much inventory to share with you guys. Mikasa, California currants. This was one of those items, bought it at a churchyard sale. They have sat forever. And now all of a sudden, I've been selling several pieces of it. This was a 12-inch platter, and it sold for $19. Viewer sale, so thank you so much, Lisa. Lisa bought the Macy's Cat in the Hat plush, 30-inch, so much larger than normal. Sold for $15.25. So thanks again, Lisa. And then Sherry. Sherry purchased this Miraculous Tales of Ladybug plush and the Frou Frou Dakin plush. So thanks again, Sherry. She paid $31.40 for the 2 plush. Fisher Price Get Better Bear game. Pretty sure I picked this up at the bin, so probably $1 or so in it, and it took forever to sell. I think it's missing a few pieces, but it still sold $11.66. Chic women's jeans sold for $10. Soft Dreams white plush lamb wind-up musical. I like Soft Dreams. Anytime I see any plush with that brand, I grab it. Sometimes it's nice like this. Sometimes it's just bread and butter, but just nice quality plush. And this little lamb sold for $31.45. Sold 2 pieces from the Magic Kingdom Weeble set that I picked up at an estate sale. I want to say I paid $15 for it. I kept the box. You guys can't see it, but the box was in terrible condition, and I decided to sell all the pieces and parts separate. There had also been 2 little Weebles in there that weren't part of that set, and they were poo, so I kept them. They're over here on my shelf somewhere. For my wall. And the monorail car sold for $16.16. And then I think I've got one more to share with you later. A Carolina Blues women's jean jacket sold for $19.51. Mary Meyer, love that brand. This one was from 1994. It was a black cat panther, and it sold for $20. Log, let's pull that down. Label of graded good. Again, probably not a shirt I would pick up again. Sold for $10. Jurassic World dinosaur egg plush. Sold for $9.85. I like picking up character plush. It's probably still one of those bread and butter items that I'll continue to do. I just like them. I like them. This one was Toy Factory, which again is like another brand that does a lot of character plush. Not the greatest quality. Here's another few pieces that went to the Magic Kingdom. These were like the castle tower pieces. They sent me a note when they purchased these that said, I think she had bought it for her son or her nephew, and he knew that something was missing because there's little holes in the little turrets on the castle, and just kept saying, where are they? What's missing? And so she decided to go ahead and purchase these so that she can plug them in to the tops of the building. Jimmy, Haunted House Lights and Sounds from 1995. If I see something as Jimmy, more than likely I'm going to pick it up. You know, a lot of it is battery operated, so a lot of times it doesn't work, but luckily for me, this one did work. And it sold very quickly for $35.95. I want to say I paid $2 or $3 at an estate sale for it. Adidas men's black compression shorts. This was one of those items they had been listed, but when Robert and I did the inventory on our clothes, they were no longer listed. That's going to be the good thing about having List Perfectly now. You know, I accidentally deleted 200 items before I knew how to go find them again. And so I lost all of them. Plus, eBay just has a habit of dropping stuff anyway. So at least now I'll be able to use List Perfectly to keep those listings. I won't have to redo all of them. So these shorts sold for $8. And then my best sell of the Monday through Thursday of that week were not a plush, not clothes, shoes. And y'all, these have sat here for a while. These were a Robert find. He says he remembers exactly where he picked them up. He thinks there's 4 pairs of shoes he picked up at that yard sale. I've only found 2. I think I listed this one and another one. I think the other one I listed for like $100. These sold very, very quickly. They're Crockett and Jones shoes. They're made of leather, and they sold for $125. Now I'm gonna have to go looking through my basement to see if I can find the other 2 pairs of shoes he picked up that day, because dang. All right, y'all. It's been a long 9 days, a lot of driving, and then, you know, a lot of work, because y'all, if you've not been to the bins, it's a lot of work, and we stay all day as long as we can and just go through all of the rotations. So I'm tired. I'm ready to sleep in my own bed, and I'm ready. I'm ready to get moving on all of this stuff. Lots of stuff to share with you guys. Lots and lots of treasures. I've been amazed at the treasures that I found on this trip. All right, y'all, get to work.